We weren't thinking much about attendance until we went to one of the Northwest PBIS conferences and actually sat in on Jessica Sprick's attendance session. And in sitting in on that session, we realized, wow, we have some work to do. I don't think staff originally, before implementation, thought much about attendance. It was one of those things I think we felt like we didn't have much control over. It was mostly seen as a home issue, and that we would do everything we could once kids came to Barnes to give them what they need, but we didn't feel like we had much control over attendance.
Before this came to our attention as being such a challenge at this school, we weren't looking at data at all. If it came to my attention, it would be somebody who, for a significant time period in a row, maybe like a couple weeks, wasn't showing up by that time. They would check in with myself, and then I would look into it at that point, but it would be a student-by-student basis.
One of the major factors we have at Barnes is the level of poverty that our kids are coming from. So our kids, the majority of them are coming to us, at, near, or below the poverty line. And I think all those at-risk factors associated with poverty, attendance is just one. And we know kids who are living in poverty with all those correlated at-risk factors. If we don't change the trajectory for them, they have much less of chance of graduating from high school. We had to start formulating a belief around attendance. And that belief had to be that our kids can get to school, and we will do everything to get them to school. And if we do things, we can improve it just like we would improve reading skills or math skills or writing skills.
Barnes is a unique staff in the fact that they were already all on board, or 99% of them were on board for PBIS, and they believe in it. So once they knew there was a problem, they're all about teaching the students and student achievement. And so it was really easy because they just wanted, they realized, I can't teach them unless they're here. We've got to get them here. They really just kind of glommed onto that attendance work, and that if we were going to get our scores up, that they had to have the kids here, and that we needed to take this on, and it needed to be school-wide, and it was really helpful because it came from the teachers.
One of the biggest things we did was just start talking to kids about reasons for missing school and reasons for not missing school. And once we started to explain to children that, like, you miss school because you're big, we call it big sick, or you have a big family emergency, and everything else might not be a reason to miss school, kids started to get that. Like, that was a simple concept for them. They could understand, like, I miss school because of this and I don't miss school because of this. And we already started to see some effect just having those conversations and just teaching kids about when it's okay to miss school and when it's not okay to miss school. And as at the school level, we do lots of recognition. We do some really big school-wide celebrations. We have what's called our ROAR earners, our regular outstanding attendance recipients. Any kid who's missed less than 1 or less days a month, they get recognized. They eat lunch on the stage as part of that recognition.
And during that time, they'll come down either with the lunch that they have or their hot lunch. We set out checkered tablecloths on the stage, and I'll get up as the principal. I'll be sitting on the stage with them. They come and they sit all around, and we visit. We visit about whatever it is that they're doing. I'm always talking to them about, I'm so excited that you're here. How many times have you been selected for lunch on the stage? And they always want to share, well, this is my 4th time. I've been here 2 years. It's my 4th time. And they get a snack, like a little treat at the end. They're excited. The little kids are excited. The teachers are excited. So that definitely, I see that level of, we want to get our kids here because we know how important it is. We want them to be successful.
The reasons kids are absent vary as much as kids themselves. So, you can have those kids who you think one thing about them, oh, that kid doesn't come to school, a parent must not want to get him to school. And then it turns out the parent is trying desperately to get them to school, but the kid has some social anxiety or some anxiety around academics, and the kid doesn't want to come to school. And then it's just, a fight getting him out the door, and pretty soon the parent is exhausted and just says, all right, stay home. That's a very different conversation, set of strategies when we look at that behavior functionally versus a kid who, like I said, who has a transportation problem or has a medical condition. And we've worked harder each and every year to look more at the function of that behavior and trying to figure out what is it about this chronic absenteeism. We never assume kids just don't want to come to school. There always and typically is a reason why kids aren't coming.
There was like a student that was homeless, that was actually living in a tent. We probably wouldn't have known that until we really dug into this attendance and figured out that the parent didn't have a car to get him here. So we were able to move that student into a homeless shelter with his mom, and then provide busing. And his academic improvement and achievement was probably the greatest growth. I mean, he was one we were looking at for, maybe he was already a tier 2 academic kid that we were looking at for maybe even tier 3 for some special ed resources. And once he started coming to school, as we know that, their attendance and really helps with their academics. So that growth, we saw that growth, and he was no longer a concern for tier 3.
We can do something about attendance. Like, as teachers, we have an awful lot of influence, and we need to exert that influence when it comes to attendance. Our kids deserve exactly what maybe a more affluent school district kids deserve, or schools that have more resources, and that is just that we got to get kids to school in order for them to do well after school. And that became a huge kind of rallying point for us, that this is really what our kids need, and it's our job to do our best to get them here.